Check, check, check. Wagwan, everybody. I am your Jamaican Queen, Miss Y. You are tuned into How I See It TV. And this is How I See It Live. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope that you all had an amazing weekend, whether you were at home chilling or you had to go to work. I hope that your weekend was awesome. And whether or not you had work today, I hope you had a great Monday. My Monday was very chill. Actually enjoyed today. And I had Chick-fil-A for dinner. So that brought me some joy. And I have to get through this book that, based on some of your response on my community wall, y'all want me to review um, Jackie Christie's daughter's, her eldest daughter's book. But I thought that I was reading the correct book until, as I'm going through the chapters, I'm realizing that I'm not seeing some of the things that I wanted to see. Well, it turns out that I was reading her second book called entitled Without a Shadow of a Doubt. But I'm still going to review her second book, and I'm going to try to see if I can get on my Kindle the first book. So bear with me, y'all. But hey Reen, how are you? I wanted to share my thoughts on some things happening, um, surrounding some of our favorite reality TV shows, some of mine, obviously. Um, The Real Housewives of Atlanta and The Real Housewives of Miami. And I wanted to start with, let me get my notes. Before I get into the topic, please remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter now called X at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. So I'm gonna start with Real Housewives of Miami because the microaggression that is being displayed on that show is disgusting. And this is a prime example of what happens when Black women or Black people in general are the minority, whether it's in corporate America, whether it's on a reality TV show, whether it's, at an academic institution. Wherever we are in society, if we are the minority, we are always going to be mistreated. And excuse me, I had to cough. And that's what we're seeing happening with Guerdy. And yes, Kiki is there, and she's also a Black woman. But but another thing that happens But another thing that happens when Black people are the minority in any group is that the people who you feel would be your biggest allies, whether and a lot of the times, when there's another Black girl there or another Black guy there, you feel like, okay, if something goes left, this person will have my back. And oftentimes it turns out that that person is either afraid to speak up because, once again, you're the minority, or they want to be liked so much that they are willing to see you be mistreated and not speak up on your behalf. And that is what I'm thinking is happening with Gertie. where this white woman, white, I don't even know her her ethnicity, but I know she's white. And for those of you who don't understand what I just said, race and ethnicity, um, yeah. Anyways, guys, I just lost my train of thought. Paying attention to something else. I don't even remember what I was about to say. But anyways, Julia is a white woman, and she starts off the season of The Real Housewives of Miami just lying on Guerdy. And Guerdy already posted the receipts, so I am confident in saying that Julia is a liar, and I've been calling her Juliar for a while now since the season started. But we get to a point where Julia throws a drink on Guerdy at an event that was to celebrate someone's wedding, right? And none of these women walked out in solidarity with Guerdy. None of them said to, the host of the event, I'm sorry, with this woman over here acting a fool, throwing a drink on people, I cannot stay here. That's just disgusting behavior. In fact, after a drink was thrown on Guerdy, they made a toast. No one cared that Guerdy was assaulted. No one cared that Julia was the aggressor. No one cared. Not even the other black girl. The other black girl wanted Guerdy to leave. No one was telling Julia to leave, but people were telling Guerdy that she should leave. And we fast forward, and Julia and Guerdy, they have a sit down, and Julia doesn't really offer up a good apology, in my opinion. And so we continue to fast forward through the season. And even though her and Guerdy had this one on one conversation where they both agreed that they would not discuss the situation any further, Guerdy wasn't going to talk about the whole cruise thing that Julia lied on her about. And Julia also agreed that they were just going to try to move forward and they wouldn't talk about whatever the previous issue was anymore in the group. But Julia goes to the narcissist party or the goddess party or whatever it was, and she proceeds to talk about the situation with her and Guerdy again, and still is putting lies on it. So the knot, and I don't know how many of you know that magazine, but it's like a wedding magazine. Guerdy is a phenomenal event planner and decorator in Miami, one of the best. And the Knot, they had her on the cover of their magazine. They had an article about her. And so they hosted an event to celebrate the magazine article. And Gertie also wanted to use the opportunity at this event to just celebrate life because she had breast cancer, she did chemo, she did surgeries, and now she's cancer free. So, all the ladies, they are invited to this event, and at the after party for this event, Gertie decides that she's going to share a text message thread between herself and Julia that proved that Julia had been lying to the women about the situation with her and Gertie since the start of the season. And now all of a sudden, People can clutch their pearls and walk out on Guerdy's event and be disgusted because she's sharing text messages to prove Julia to be a liar. And all of a sudden, all these people, they have so much concern for cancer, but nobody had any concerns for the fact that Guerdy is still undergoing cancer treatment. Guerdy just did another surgery on her breast, and Julia is stressing her out by lying on her in the group. So nobody had enough care for Gertie's health when Julia was lying on her and assaulting her and pointing fingers in her face and being aggressive. But all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh my God, she's sharing text messages and this is an event about cancer. It wasn't an event about cancer. It was an event to celebrate Gertie being on the cover of the Knot magazine. That's what the event was about. But once again, the microaggressions shows up where Julia can point fingers in Gertie's face and yell at her and literally assault her, and she isn't called aggressive. She isn't being told that she's doing too much. She isn't escorted out, or nobody leaves the event when Julia is doing all of those things. But when Gertie responds with truth, she's being told that she's doing too much. She's been told that her actions are disgusting. Gertie is being told that she's doing too much and that her actions is disgusting, and that they can't be around that type of behavior and they can't be associated with that type of behavior because the Black woman is standing up for herself. I am so sick of how they treat Gertie on Real Housewives of Miami. She can't speak because if she speaks, she's doing too much. They tell her that you overtalk people when the truth is every single one of them overtalks the other. Hey, hey, Ines. Thanks for being here. But the finger is always being pointed at Gertie. And I'm glad that she's standing up for herself. Another housewife from another show also pointed out that Julia is indeed lying on Gertie because that other housewife was on the cruise as well. And while Julia is acting as if Gertie was just trying to be seen on this cruise that she invited Gertie to be on, sorry about that, y'all. This my daughter believes that she has to use the iPad where she's going to be playing games and watch the TV at the same time. So she can't find the remote for the TV. So who does she come to? Mom, where's the remote? Girl, go use your iPad. You'll be fine for 5 minutes without the TV too. But yeah, they treat Gertie as if she should just be seen and not heard. And I am tired of it. And I'm tired of Kiki, the other Black girl on the show, not clocking that that is how they're treating Gertie. And what is absolutely disgusting is that because Gertie showed those text messages, proving to everyone that Julia is a liar, these women are now going to be segregating the group. I think it's either tonight or tomorrow night we're gonna have a new episode, and they're going to be going out on like a girls' day out, and they're going to have two boats. And one yacht has all the white women on it who are Team Julia, Team Julier. And then the other boat is Guerdy and Kiki and Adriana. And I think Nicole as well. Because Nicole and Larsa, they're not on good terms, so of course. But the majority, they're on the other boat. And I find that to be absolutely just horrible because when Julia threw the drink at Gertie, nobody isolated Julia from the group. They are all out here just coddling the heck out of Julia for some reason, while the woman who's going through her cancer journey is being told that she's doing too much and you need to let people talk and you overtalk people and you're aggressive and your behavior is disgusting, and I am sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of it. And all this show is doing is giving us a clear representation of how in society, when Black women are the minority, what we're going to face is a whole bunch of microaggressive behavior from people of other races. And it has to stop. And I hope that when all of these women go to the reunion for the Real Housewives of Miami, this is brought up and this is discussed at length or in length. All right, moving on. Kenya Moore, she did a live on Saturday on her YouTube where she denied that Drew or any other housewife gave her the pictures of Brit that she showed at her salon. She also shared that her and Cynthia are not in a good place because Cynthia allegedly shared private messages between herself and Kenya. And Kenya also dropped y'all some behind the scenes tea that supposedly someone who used to be on Love and Hip Hop is casted for the Real Housewives Wives of Atlanta for their season that's set to begin shooting, I think, either next week or this week. I'm not sure. And the speculation out there is that the former Love and Hip Hop star that is set to join the Real Housewives of Atlanta is K Michelle. Now, how I see it, I would love to see K Michelle on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think, in the words of K Michelle, that could shake the table. That could shake the table a little bit. I like K Michelle. I don't care what anybody else says. I like K Michelle. She is smart. This is a um an educated woman. I think a lot of people feel like because K Michelle did Love and Hip Hop or whatever, she's not educated. She's college educated. She's been in the music industry for a minute. She is also extremely talented, an extremely talented singer, and extremely talented songwriter, not just R&B, but now she is doing country music, something that she has always wanted to do. Supposedly she is now married. I know that she has a child. So I feel like K Michelle can bring something to the franchise that I think some things that she could bring to the franchise are things that we have seen already. People who are confrontational, people who are witty, people who can throw shade, and people who can also cuss you out if you bring them to that point. But as I said before, she is also a talented artist. So that's another side to it. And K Michelle has had success in reality TV, y'all. When she did this series with Lifetime where people who had like horrible surgeries, body enhancing surgeries, um, I guess were on her show trying to undo some of the damage, um or whatever, if their surgery was botched or something. And that show, I think it had one season, but it was pretty good. So um, and K Michelle was different on that show. I mean, obviously, she wasn't fighting with anybody, she wasn't arguing with anybody. She was very intelligent about some of the things that she was discussing with the doctors and some of the things that she was discussing with people who were a part of that show at the time. And we got to see through that show a different side of K Michelle. So I'm open to it. I'm open to it. I don't know a lot about Pinky Cole. She is another person that people are speculating will be a part of the season 17 cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I know that she owns Slutty Vegan. I know that there were some financial things surrounding Slutty. I was listening to Kids today, Jesse and Jesse Wu, and they talked about, well, King of Reeds talked about how some of the financial things surrounding Pinky Cole allegedly is that, she, I don't know if it's former or current staff, but they're talking about how, she's been paying people. So that might be fun to watch on The Real Housewives. So that's all I have. Oh, and Kenya is saying that she's not gonna be returning for season 17. It sounds like there was some negotiating happening and then maybe it stopped. So she says, who knows, things might change. And how I see it, how I see it, y'all, is if the current cast that they have settled on, when filming starts, nothing is really happening, it's boring, they're not getting any great scenes, the new girls aren't giving what they thought they would give, then they might go and say, okay, hey Kenya, we want you to come back for the season. So that's what I think is going to happen. I feel like they do believe that they have a solid cast right now. And if it's true that K Michelle is a part of the cast, I can honestly say I can understand why they would believe that they have a solid cast. But if it's not working out the way the producers want it to work out, then I can see them saying, okay, let's grab Kenya. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, next up. And for this topic, I'm just going to literally rope in everything surrounding these people. So we have Shamea and we have Portia, and they're going through another rocky point in their friendship. But but for me, this is just my opinion. This is just the way I see it. This is how I see it live after all. But the way I see it, and I've been arguing back and forth with people on Twitter for a minute now regarding this, that the only negative thing that anybody can say about Portia as a friend to Shamea is what transpired in season 9. And what transpired in season 9 was Portia sitting around listening to Phaedra speaking badly about Shamea. And because Portia and Shamea were not in a good place, Portia allowed the narrative that Phaedra was trying to put out there to be out there. And two, she didn't go to Shamea's wedding in Kenya. Now, in Portia's mind, she went to one of Shamea's wedding, and Portia posted the screenshot from Shamea's own words that whatever ceremony Shamea had in Atlanta, whatever ceremony Shamea had in Atlanta, these are Shamea's words. She called it a Dory ceremony and a wedding. So Portia saying that she did go to Shamea's wedding, I'm going to just give it to Portia because Shamea, the post is still there from 2017 on your Instagram, and you called it a wedding. Period. And I went and I did a little bit of research about Kenyan culture and what they do when it comes down to celebrating a wedding. And I don't remember the particular names of some of the ceremonies, but when I compare it to what Shamia placed in her post from 2017 around that time, yes, it is indeed a wedding ceremony. Hey D. Hi Misty, how are you? Yes, it's been a minute. I'm trying to be consistent in being live every Monday night. I don't have a set time, but I'll definitely be live every Monday night, somewhere between the hours of 7 to 9. I'll definitely be live talking about something, okay? You said Shamia, let me put it on the screen so I can read it. Shamia sat around a table while Carmen and Candy spoke badly about Portia and didn't say anything. They were equal on that one. And that's how I see it too, Miss D. It was tit for tat. It was tit for tat. And I I strongly believe that Portia, she has answered for that. She has apologized for that. I think she apologized to Candy. Candy accepted her apology and they moved forward in a better space. And I do believe that she also apologized to Shamia as well. So when people say, oh, Portia was a bad friend, we only saw Portia do this one thing within the friendship. And for that season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, all we saw Portia do was that one thing, and then not go to Shamia's Kenyan wedding in Kenya. But when we compare season 9 to the things Shamia did this season, I think Shamia has done more wrong. And then with Portia adding additional context to the conversation regarding their friend group outside of the show and things that Shamia is saying to that friend group. And then they're coming back to Portia with that same, rhetoric. Shamia is obviously doing more wrong in the friendship. And maybe she's held on to the resentment that she's felt from Portia since season 9 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Or it's just always been a thing where Shamia just hated being in Portia's shadow. Shamia, since she was young, was trying to break into the entertainment industry. She wanted to be popular. She wanted to be famous. She wanted to be a singer. She wanted to be an actress. And that did not work out for her. And then here comes her friend from childhood who gets on this major reality TV show and she's liked. And Portia is indeed, maybe not, I wouldn't call Portia A-list celebrity or whatever, but she's known and she's loved and she is very, very popular within the reality TV space. She has a strong fan base. Shamia does not really have that. And I think that Shamia also resents that because Shamia probably feels like Portia is not as talented as me. She can't sing, she can't act. How is she, how did she land The Real Housewives of Atlanta? And I live in Atlanta too, and people know that I was a part of this girls group and all these things. I should have been the one that they, you know, tapped to be a housewife, not Portia. So some of these things are probably what's going on behind the scenes, and we don't know about it, right? And obviously Portia doesn't know about it either, because the season of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, starts. And for me personally, I just felt like if Portia and Shamea's relationship was as strong as they want us to feel like it was before filming started, there's no way that a Kelly and a Brit who just came onto the show would have the nerve to sit in front of Portia's best friend, her somebody who's like a sister to her, and say why she took that lady's man. And they're speaking negatively about Portia in Shamea's presence, and all Shamea is saying is, let's not talk about her." And so now that we find out that Shamea and these girls were in an alliance, it's making sense that as part of that alliance, it was agreed upon that when we do this scene together, girls, y'all are gonna bring us something bad about Portia. Because she's not a good friend to me. And I'm gonna get her this season. That's how I see it. And then Shamea, you're just meeting Angela. You've never been that cool with Drew, and you're sitting down pinky promising with them because you are having a whole emptying of your heart and mind to these women, talking about your feelings towards Portia. And my thing is this: if you truly felt like the friendship between you and Portia was just lopsided and she just wasn't a good friend to you, and you're still harping on the things from season 9 that y'all already talked about, then you should have ended your friendship with Portia a long time ago. Or before the season started, you should have had another conversation with Portia like, hey, before we start filming, I just want to make sure that you and I are on the same page, because I don't want to be blindsided like I was blindsided in season 9. You can't sit up talking about your friend behind her back and then getting your feelings when your friends start becoming distant because everybody's coming to her and they're saying, oh, your girl's talking about you. She's saying this and she's saying that. Of course, Portia's going to withdraw. Of course, she's going to withdraw. And so Shamia acting like you haven't done anything wrong. It's clear you've done something wrong. Because I don't understand why something from 10 years ago is still an issue for you in this friendship with Portia when you and Portia have continued to be friends since then. Y'all have continued to hang out. And it's not about people pleasing. And I hate when people use some of these psychological terminologies to excuse their bad behavior. It's not about people pleasing. It's about Shamia wanting to stay in Portia's light. Shamia wants to be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Shamia understands Portia's fame and she understands Portia's popularity. So rather than end the friendship and not having access to Portia's popularity and fame and light, she chose to stay in Portia's light so that she could benefit from it. Because once you're attached to Portia and you're attached to a candy bars, then everything they do, you're connected to it as well. So we recall while Portia was going through her divorce, when it was announced that she was going through her divorce, who did we see in LA with Portia? Because remember when Nene came out and blasted Portia and said, "Oh, they were supposed to do the Upshaws together and Portia pulled out of it. Who did we see in LA eating with Portia and hanging out with Portia? Who did we see with her? Shamea, right? So that's what I mean. She understands that once she's connected to Portia, once she stays in Portia's light, her name is going to be mentioned alongside Portia. So when Nene blasted Portia for pulling out of the Upshaws and saying, "Oh, I don't want to work with Nene," when Portia landed in the news because Nene was blasting her, who else was mentioned? Shamea. Because Shamea was out and about with Portia in LA. So you can't be manipulative in the situation and then say, "Oh, I'm a people pleaser and that's why I didn't say anything." You're lying. You are lying. Um, Miss Cece said, and hi, Miss Cece. Candy posted fire emoji under Portia's Black Lace IG post today. So she's openly showing support for Portia. I think it's fake, but Candy knows the game. Absolutely. They all know the game, but I don't think that they're teaching Shamia the game. Because there's no way that some girls that you barely know, some newbies to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, there's no way that those are the girls that you should have decided that you're coming into an alliance with. Shamia might have just gotten a peach this season, but Shamia is not new to the Real Housewives. In the same way that Marlo, even though she was a new peach holder, Marlo, in my opinion, was still very much a housewife. Marlo should have done way better than she did holding on to a peach. She should have. So Shamia is coming into this like she's brand new. Like she doesn't understand editing and she doesn't understand that when you fall out with people, they're gonna throw you under the bus. Especially some new chick that you just met. She literally just met Brit. I don't care how Shamia likes to position it as if she's everybody's BFF. No, girl, you don't know these people. You don't. So the minute Shamia and Brit fell out, what did Brit do? Brit ran on to Portia and said, you should know that she's sharing your messages." How would Brit know the contents of Portia's message if somebody didn't tell her? And it had to have been you. And Brit made several missteps this season. She did. But so did you, Shamia, because you were out here plotting. You're out here plotting on Portia. And just like Portia said, Shamia felt as if the fans would have been on her side because people disliked what happened in season 9. And Shamia, unfortunately, it was a little too late because Portia and Candy already made up. Portia and Kenya, cool. So wanting to come to the show as a new housewife, to use something from past seasons that a lot of people have gotten over, it was a misstep on your part. You over calculated the impact of doing that. And you did it in the wrong way. Yes, Dee, she's been around for way too long. Way too long. Shamia been around for a long time. If she doesn't know the game by now, she doesn't deserve a peach. Yep, I can agree. So yeah, I agree with you. Apologies for that pause, y'all. I agree with you, Miss D, that yeah, she she didn't do well at the reunion. I think I agree with other content creators who've said that it seems as if Shamea's game plan was to go on an all out attack on Brit. And with Brit not showing up, that kind of punctured one or two of Shamea's wheels. And I don't think, I don't think that Shamea felt like the other women that she was sitting around talking about Portia to would stand on business and say, no, we weren't the ones putting words in your mouth. You were the one expressing these feelings. We weren't the ones saying that your friendship with Portia is lopsided. You were the one saying that. And we felt like we should tell Portia. And that's exactly what they did. Even, even what's her face, Cynthia, stood 10 toes down on the fact that, yeah, Shamia, you have been talking about the girl. And then Shamia says, well, you sat around talking to Britt, and Cynthia to be like, now wait, hold on, wait a minute. She didn't go to Britt talking about you. Britt came to her and expressed to her the things that you were saying behind her back. And even when Britt did that, Portia didn't take the bait. Portia didn't spaz out. Portia didn't, you know, start talking negatively about Shamia to anybody. Portia's been literally chill the entire season. Maybe she didn't have the energy to go at Shamia, or maybe she just didn't want to because that's how much she respects the friendship. But Shamia has to own that she absolutely was talking grimy about her friend to these people, and just own it. Just own it and end the friendship. I don't know how y'all come back from this, but I guess people have ended relationships, romantic relationships all the time and get back together. And I do believe that when it comes to friendships, that it's okay to try again. It's okay to try again. If you are trying five, six, seven, eight, you know what? Maybe that's not the best advice because, yeah, if you know the man toxic and you keep going back to him, that's not healthy. So, in the same way, you know, your friendship toxic, yeah, you probably shouldn't revisit. So, I take that back. I take that back. And then I'm watching YouTube and Shamia posts the video and she's talking about season 16. And she's talking about her beef with Drew. And again, Shamia, she lacks so much self-awareness. It is crazy because she's talking about her showcase and she's speaking about how Drew was throwing shade during, you know, her showcase, you know, talking about her singing and all of that. And what I didn't understand is how Shamia could exclude from that entire conversation about Drew the fact that the only reason Drew started to shade Shamia's music and shade Shamia's singing and speak negatively about it is because Shamia, you went on the Big Tigger show and you dragged Drew and her song. You called her all kinds of lying ass biatches and all of those things. Like, you did that first. So, of course, you're filming a reality TV show. What's going to happen? Somebody's going to try to get their lick back on camera. And that's what Drew did. But to sit up there and act as if Drew just out of nowhere was talking negatively about your singing, come on, Shamea. You got to be more self aware. And I say that instead of saying take accountability, because I am very much one of those people who will continue to say that accountability is not an apology. And a lot of people feel like when somebody takes account of their behavior, then that means that that person is going to be apologetic. I can account for my behavior. I can be fully aware that I cursed you the F out. And I can be fully aware that I said some nasty, grimy things to you because I was upset. But then on the other side of that, even though I'm aware and even though I can take account for my actions, I am, however, not sorry. I said what I said, and you deserved it because of XYZ. I'm just one of those people. So I hate when people say, oh, this person lacks accountability. And the only reason they're saying that the person lacks accountability is because the person didn't say sorry. That person can sit up right in the screen on camera while filming or during the confessionals and say, yeah, I said what I said. But because they did not say, I'm sorry, then all of a sudden it's, oh, they lack so much accountability. No, they're lacking an apology because they don't want to give one. And so for me, Shamia needs to be a little bit more aware of her actions. Be a little bit more aware. Be more aware. Stop making it that everybody did something to you. Drew's talking grimy about my music. Drew's talking grimy about your music because you went on radio and you disrespected her song. Period. And then Shamia's mama and her cousin came in talking about they were going to pray for her. And then instead of praying, they went on a whole rant using the Lord's name and scriptures to call Portia all kinds of demons, all kinds of unintelligent, all kinds of ratchet, all kinds of no class, all kinds of a sickness that needs to be circumcised and stripped away and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, whoa. And then when the cousin said, we've been praying about this and talking to you about this for a long time, Shamia, relating to her friendship with Portia, I said to myself, now this is what Portia was talking about. How you sitting around and people are talking negatively about her in your presence and you're taking it in, you're soaking it all in, and then you're walking around being resentful because your mama, Shamia, doesn't just feel the way that she feels because of that particular moment in that video. She didn't say what she said because y'all were in the moment filming that particular part of the video. Those are your mom's and your cousin's feelings dating back from years and years and years and years ago. And because they were upset, because they're mad about how the reunion is going. They're mad about how people are dragging you in the comment section of social media because people are smart and they are clocking the manipulation. Now your family feels emboldened to come and sit on your platform on YouTube and say that through the name of Jesus Christ and through scriptures, Portia is all these things. And I thought it was vile how your mama was sitting there speaking about that girl. because y'all are from the South and y'all know good and god darn well that when Miss Diane said, "Be careful of the dog that carries the bone," y'all know good and well that that lady was not calling Shamea a dog. It's a figure of speech that I'm sure has been used in the South by Mama Morton's mama, grandmama, great grandmama, great 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 grandmama, and great 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 grandmothers down the line. So to sit up there and act as if it's okay for me to call this girl a demon, call this girl ratchet, call this girl all kinds of classless, call this girl an infection because Shamia, you're not a dog. Y'all know that lady wasn't calling Shamia a dog. Like let's be for real. And it was vile that rather than stand on how y'all feel about Portia, y'all decided that y'all were going to do it in Jesus' name. Because the Lord said this, and the Bible says that. And no demon in hell is gonna drag you down and take you to a place that, come on. If Portia ratchet, she'll be a ratchet because they are the same. They are the same twerking up and down on our TV screen. If Portia jealous, Shamia is equally as jealous, in my opinion. I do believe that Portia and Shamia are literally the different sides of the same coin. Both of them wanted to marry into wealth. Both of them wanted to marry into wealth. Both of them are party girls. Both of them are outspoken. Both of them are they seem like fun girls. Portia did wrong in season 9, and Shamia's family, y'all just gotta take this L and just understand Shamia did wrong this season, and it's okay. In the same way Portia could bounce back from season 9 and the season 9 shenanigans, guess what? Shamia can bounce back too. But it's not gonna help that y'all are over there making her behavior okay because y'all hate Portia that much. It's not a good look. And I posted the video from Shamia's and the thing about it is, Shamia, that video was pre-recorded. You could have taken out that part with your mama and your cousin speaking all manners of negativity about Portia, but you wanted the world to know that that's how your family feels about Portia. And so you left it in there. And you left that part in there only for you at the end of your video to do this weird apology to all the women on the cast. Like, I was like, girl, why? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is not cute. Go edit it out. But too many people have already seen it. So, and then people like me, messy, screen recorded a piece of it and then uploaded it to my YouTube. So even if you take your video down, for as long as my Instagram is up, that video is gonna live on. Because why would you do that? Why would you do that, Shamia? The reunion ended, in my opinion, on I'm not gonna say that it was boring. It was definitely not boring. I just felt like from the clips I saw, I thought more was gonna happen. But they posted literally the entire reunion to Instagram and all those sneak peeks. So by the time we got to the reunion, there was like nothing there for us to consume that was new, that was eye opening, that was just on kept us on the edge of our seats. I don't appreciate how Charles, you know, spoke to Shamea. Shamea, even in her video, posted the clip where we saw Charles meeting Gerald. So I don't know. Charles feels like he never met Shamea, and Shamea felt like, sir, we met. So I don't know. I also feel like Angela bringing up Wendy Williams wanting to have a glass of wine with Charles. I felt like Angela, that's like, ooh, pathetic girl. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this on national TV? Like, you're talking to your husband as if you feel like you guys are in your living room and he said something crazy and now you gotta check him. I was like, oh, girl, don't do that anymore. Like, still be yourself, but know how to measure your reaction to things and learn how to measure what you say on camera, because if they feel like it's salacious enough, they're going to use it. Nobody's going to convince me that Drew is interested in having extra relationships with Dennis. I'm sorry. I don't understand why Ralph was there sitting up behind Portia, looking like looking and acting like Martell. That was also cringe because he came up there to lie on Drew, but we got to the truth. We got to the truth. Kelly, stay out of Portia and Shamea's business. They've been down this road before and they became friends again. So I feel like it's the same thing. Clearly, with Shamea doing that weird apology, she desires to still be Portia's friend. So Kelly, if I were you, girl, I'll just stay out of it. Stay out of it. Phaedra didn't say much in the last part of the reunion. That the moment between her and Charles, I just feel like it's all semantics at this point. That that's how I see it. I just feel like all these people know each other or they know of each other. A lot of the times they're probably in the same room with each other. People might in passing say, Charles, this is Phaedra. Phaedra, this is Charles. And he's like, hey, nice to meet you. And he goes about his way and he forgot that he met this lady because he meets so many people all the time. Like, he's Charles Oakley, right? And then you got people like Phaedra who feel like if you shake somebody's hand, you met them and y'all were hanging out at a party that had 100 people. Did these women know that Charles was married? Probably not. Would they have gone to Google it? Probably not, because they weren't interested in him. They weren't interested in being with him. And so I think that is why nobody really cared to go find out if he was married. Until, okay, now they're meeting the wife and they're like, oh my God, Charles be outside, and I've never seen him with a wife, but okay, I guess he's married. Like, that's what I think is going on there. I don't think it's a big deal. It is what it is. Those things were said. Let's move on. Let's move on. But that's how I see it, y'all. We are approaching the 1 hour mark. I'm gonna try not to go over that. So please remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. Jump in the comment section below and let me know how you see things too. And until my next live stream or my next video premiere, walk good. Bye. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Bye.